In the years that followed, Shaq says he wondered whether he could have made a difference if he had made it to the party that night. In his autobiography, he wrote, "If I would have been standing by his truck, would the killer still have shot? I've always asked that question."
Most people feel that no one would have touched Biggie with Shaq by his side. Not even Diddy, had it not been for Shaq's heartbreaking words about how he wishes he could have been there for his friend and how he believes he could have been able to save Biggie. Although it would seem strange for the notorious Big and Shaq O'Neal to work together, both legends have left indelible marks on the hip-hop community. In the 1990s, the two rappers were close pals as well. While the Boston Celtics were leading the Eastern Conference in 2011 when Shaq O'Neal turned 39, he was still in a strong position to contend for his fifth NBA championship ring. But Shaq was sidelined by an Achilles tendon injury at the time. Even if Shaq's life was perfect at the time and is still perfect today, a horrible incident that occurred years ago could have affected how his life is now. When he prepared to go to a party with his friend Biggie, O'Neal might have encountered an event that would have drastically altered his life. Shaq reflected on how he met Biggie and wondered how things might have gone differently in an interview with ESPN's Beyond the Lines in 2011. Shaq O'Neal first became a fan of Christopher Wallace, best known as Biggie, when he heard his name used in one of Biggie's songs. "First time I heard Biggie Smalls was he said my name in a rap," Shaq told ESPN, said, "I'm slamming brothers like Shaq will, shit is real. And instantly, I became a fan." Not only was he a fan, but he was also able to make a rap song with Biggie that instantly went big. Most people remember Shaq O'Neal as a famous basketball player with 4 championship rings, but some people are unaware of his successful music career, which flourished as he was becoming well known as a member of the Orlando Magic in the 1990s. Shaq Diesel, his 1993 self-titled album, sold over 1 million copies and earned platinum status. The notorious Big and O'Neal were developing their friendship as rappers while O'Neal was becoming well known in New York. Shaq initially learned of Biggie from his legendary 1994 song Gimme the Loot, in which he yelled out his competition. "The first time I heard Biggie Smalls was he said my name in a rap," he recalled. He said, "I'm slamming brothers like Shaq will, shit is real. Instantly, I became a fan," he admitted. "When I'd seen him, I saw that he was a big guy. And you know, it's an unwritten rule that all big guys stick together." Shaq put out a call wanting to meet Biggie in person while he was still a Lakers player and trying his hand at a music career. His wish came true since in 1996, while working on his third album, O'Neal enlisted Biggie to appear on a track. He genuinely said, "My concept was always to rap with my favorite rappers. I put out a call to him and asked him if he would do a song with me." Biggie had a reputation for never appearing in music by artists he didn't like, but when Shaq called, Biggie almost quickly answered and expressed his desire to record a song. This demonstrates that Biggie respected Shaq as a musician in addition to a basketball player. O'Neal's hit single You Can't Stop the Rain was the outcome. Shaq remarked that he was quite intimidated to be working with someone who had already been recognized as a living icon when it came time to record the song. "Basically, I was nervous," he laughed. "The reason I was nervous was because he was the greatest. We went to the studio and he got done in 5 minutes. It was the most incredible thing I'd ever seen in my life," he continued. Biggie claimed to be prepared and actually delivered, proving that the two of them were on fire. Shaq recalled how he had tried to give Biggie some time to work with the studio engineers on his verse. Despite the fact that they both did an outstanding job, O'Neal gives Biggie credit for adding star power to the song. "Realist that I am. He was on it, which is why it was successful," he stated bluntly.
We just talked about life. We went on the Cedars, we had a good time, talked to his mom, and it was just a great day. And then the last time I saw him was when he was getting the tattoos the night before, he got killed. But
you saw him the day before he got killed?
Yeah.
My favorite track.
Shaq asserted that he first met Biggie the day before Biggie lost his hair while Big was getting some biblical verses inked on his hand. The night the MC was fatally shot and died in Los Angeles was the next time Shaq had intended to meet his friend. Shaq, who had just seen his pal the day before and was also meant to be in the unfortunate automobile, must have been quite devastated. At the time, he was a rookie for the Lakers and had made plans to go to the after-party for the Soul Train Awards with Biggie. Shaq was prepared to depart when his uncle was supposed to pick him up from his condo and take him to the party that night. "I was in my condo. I had on a cold white suit, white hat and all that. I was on my way. I was dressed, ready to go," O'Neal said. Shaq, for better or worse, went out from exhaustion and did not awaken until his mother called him at around 4 o'clock. Says Shaq, "I just fell asleep. I woke up about 3 o'clock from a call from my mother. She said, 'Did you go to the party?' I'm like, 'No, what are you talking about?' She said, 'You know, your friend was shot.' And I was like, 'What?' So then I hung up with her and called some people, and they told me what had happened." He was able to learn how his close friend had passed away from his buddies. Shaq thought back to his friend's passing and pondered whether, if he had been present that evening, he could have been able to influence the events of the evening. Possibly, just considering that the shooter might have found him to be somewhat threatening due to his size or the possibility that he was a Lakers fan as opposed to a Clippers fan. It is possible that his presence in the automobile would have deterred the shooter from firing at the car. Despite the jokes, Shaq has always believed that if he had attended the party that night, he could have been able to save Biggie and hence his friend. Nobody really knows whether Shaq could have stopped the situation from happening, but it's more probable that the shooter would still have started firing, and the sports world wouldn't have gotten to see one of the NBA's biggest talents perform during his peak. Fans had to deal with the painful loss of a gifted artist. Losing a renowned athlete in the same incident would have altered the history of the NBA and resulted in the death of 3 legendary rappers in quick succession. On March 9, 1997, in Los Angeles' Miracle Mile district, Biggie made headlines when he passed away after being shot 4 times in a drive-by shooting a short distance from the Peterson Automotive Museum. He had joined other rap stars like P. Diddy, Missy Elliott, and Aaliyah at an industry after-party. During the celebration, Biggie and his group were returning to their hotel when they stopped at a typical red light. Less than a minute later, a dark Chevy Impala drew up next to the rapper's green GMC Suburban and started shooting at it. Notorious B.I.G. suffered severe injuries and was declared dead at the age of 24 despite being taken to the neighboring Cedars-Sinai Medical Center for urgent treatment. Although the cause of his death has never been established, it was speculated that it was the result of a well-publicized dispute between East and West Coast rap artists, and that Tupac Shakur's death only 6 months earlier had served as motivation. I'm not sure if Shaquille O'Neal could have affected the outcome of that evening, but as a sports fan and someone who enjoys Shaquille O'Neal's company, I don't mind that he missed the party that night because he fell asleep. Shaq O'Neal concluded his interview by saying, "I just was thinking that I'm fortunate enough to say that I knew him. Fortunate enough to say that he blessed me with 32 bars on my album. I'm blessed enough to say that he knew me and I knew him. So I really don't think about the bad times, just think about the good times. Even when I hear his verses on different beats, it still sounds like he's still here." A fan on Twitter said, "Shaq can actually rap. Let me say, my favorite Biggie verse is on Shaq's song You Can't Stop the Rain. For Shaq to be on a song with Biggie, and Biggie is deep in his bag, and Shaq didn't ruin the song or make you skip his verse says a lot about his skills as a rapper." Anyways, let's not forget that this video is based on theories and my opinions and should not be considered facts. That's it for this video, guys.